Alright, today we're going to fix the gaming PC. The first thing first, let's connect the power supply, plug in the HDMI cable and hit the power button. The lights are on, which is a good sign, but let's see if we get a display. Checking the monitor, no display. Let's make sure the monitor is on HDMI. It is. So the issue lies somewhere else. Time for some troubleshooting. Before we dive in, remember that diagnosing a PC is like solving a puzzle. Sometimes the issue is simple and sometimes it takes a bit of effort, but with the patience we'll get to the bottom of it. Let's start with the most common issue, the graphics card. A faulty or improperly seated GPU can easily cause a no display issue. First, I'm going to remove the 4 screws securing the front panel. The panel is made of glass, so we have to be careful while removing it. The front panel is detached now. Let's move on to the graphics card. To do that, we're going to take out the graphics card screw securing the card. Now I'll carefully press the clip on the motherboard to release the GPU. You always want to be gentle when handling the components. One wrong move and you can damage the slot or the card itself. Now I'll replace with a working graphics card to see if that makes any difference. Connecting power, securing it back in place and plugging the HDMI cable. Alright, the moment of truth. Powering it on. Still no display. That means the graphics card isn't the problem. But we have ruled out one major component, so that's progress. Let's move on. Since the PC is not showing any sign of booting, let's check if the system is actually responding. A quick trick is to connect the keyboard and press the caps lock key. If the light on the keyboard turns on and off, that means the system is booting, but we just don't have a display. This tells us the PC is not even reaching the point where it can interact with the keyboard. Now we need to check the RAM. Faulty or improperly seated RAM is one of the most common reasons a PC won't boot. Let's start by removing one stick of RAM and testing with just one module. Powering on, still nothing. Let's swap to the other RAM stick and try again, and still no display. That means it's unlikely to be a RAM issue unless both sticks are bad. Time to take a closer look at the motherboard and CPU. Now I just noticed something odd. The heatsink seems slightly tilted. That's a red flag. If the heatsink isn't sitting properly, it could mean a motherboard issue or even improper contact between the CPU and the socket. Let's take it apart and inspect the processor. First, I'll unscrew the heatsink and gently remove it. Now let's take out the processor and check for any bent pins. Carefully lifting it up, and at first glance the pins looks fine. That's a relief, but let's reset the CPU anyway to ensure it's making proper contact. Sometimes a tiny bit of dust or imperfect seating can prevent a system from booting. Putting the heatsink back on and securing everything in place, powering again, and wait a minute, the caps lock key is still not responding. That's not a good sign. This means the system is still not booting. Now I'm thinking the issue might be with the BIOS. Some motherboard refuses to boot properly if the BIOS is corrupted or outdated. Let's check the model of this motherboard. It's H520MT. I'm going to connect my BIOS programmer to see if the chip is functioning. But hold on, it's not detecting the chip. That means we need to physically remove the BIOS chip to program it externally. Heating up carefully, lifting it from the board, and now let's connect it directly to the programmer. This time it's detected. Now let's read the data stored on the chip, and there it is. The BIOS is corrupted. There is a very less data written on it. BIOS chip is mostly empty. Might be the reason why the system is not working. What we need to do is to flash a fresh BIOS onto the chip, heading over to the manufacturer website, downloading the latest BIOS and converting it to the format that our programmer can write. Before we proceed, let's back up the BIOS and just in case. Alright, flashing the new BIOS, and it's done. Time to solder the chip back to the motherboard. With BIOS chip securely in place, let's power it on one more time and still no display. But hold on, I forgot to attach the heatsink. Some CPU won't boot without proper cooling, so let's secure it back in place before testing again. Alright, final moment of truth, power it on. And yes, we have a display. The system is booting properly and we are finally back in the action. This was definitely one of the trickier repair, but in the end we figured it out. And that's how you diagnose and fix a PC with no display. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.